Hello and welcome to today's practice. Today's practice is all about moving grief through the body. And grief makes us feel stuck, makes us feel heavy, makes us feel anxious, depressed, angry even. It can bring up and kind of coexist with a number of different emotions that can have an impact on our physical experience as well as our psychological experience. There is a bi-directional relationship between your body and your mind. There's absolutely no doubt about that. The way we feel or exist or experience our psychology impacts certain aspects of our body, and our body can impact how we think and feel. So if we're carrying tension in our body, it can start to then make us feel more tense in our mind, and vice versa. We feel tense in our mind about something, it starts to then create tension in the body. So today's practice is all about creating the movement to tap into that first and to release it. This practice is going to be very gentle, very fluid, and above all, it's going to prioritize connection and nurturing. We are going to self-soothe through the breath and through our movement with the intention of being gentle and curious about that grief. Allow whatever comes up to move through you as best as possible and stop whenever you need to. I myself have been going through a period of grieving, and I'm kind of right in the middle of it, actually. For a family member, they're still with us, great, but they received a diagnosis that has made me quite sad, and this has meant that I'm very much in this with you. I'm really hoping that this doesn't mean that as I move through this practice, I start crying, because I think that's going to be impractical. I want to remain neutral for you guys so that we can kind of hold space together. That said, I think the most profound realization that I've ever had about yoga was truly when I was in my saddest moments, and I realized just how powerful your body can hold grief. And I think we don't respect that enough. We don't respect enough the impact our everyday emotions can have on our physicality and physical evolution, or just progression, let's say, or adaptation. So without further ado, let's get on the mat. Make sure you have water nearby, make sure you have whatever you need nearby. And as I mentioned already, please, whenever you need to, stop the practice, take rest. The number one priority and intention for this is to nurture. And when we nurture something, we need to do so with a sense of deep, true, honest awareness of what we need and what may not be serving us in this particular moment. Hopefully, this practice serves you. So we're going to get started just by coming onto our mat. And we're going to come into a cross-legged position. Now, if you're feeling a little bit tight in the hips already and sitting like this is uncomfortable for you, then please, by all means, lift your hips and just sit on a cushion or a block. And we're just going to close our eyes and we're just going to start to move around in circles. So what I mean by that is I'm taking my rib cage and I'm moving it forward, around, and back. Forward, around, kind of like spinal circles here. My pelvis is moving as well, and I'm just using this fluidity to kind of tap in to tension that I might be carrying. And then we want to sort of start to make this circular motion a little bigger. Maybe get some clicks, some cracks. We'll go in the other direction. And see if you can start to move that fluidity up into the cervical spine, into your neck. Notice tension there. Good, and then we'll come into a still position. Just sitting in this cross-legged position. Remember, if it starts to get uncomfortable in the front of the hips, by raising your hips and kind of sitting out of it slightly, you'll feel more comfortable. Closing the eyes, sitting nice and tall here. Just breathing a deep inhalation in and a full exhalation out. Relax the shoulders, relax the face. We're not going to stay in stillness for too long because I want to get us moving. I know that sometimes when we're grieving, that stillness is what makes us want to cry because suddenly everything has a moment to come up. And we do want it to surface. We do want to allow it to move through us. But for now, we also just want to, particularly if you're sick of crying, sometimes that can happen. We just want to use the breath as our kind of movement. And if you feel grief start to move up your spine, into your throat, you feel it at the back of your eyes, just allow it to be there. And then exhale. But pay attention to it. Be curious about it rather than fighting it. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Relax the shoulders, relax your face. Nice. Crack the eyes open. From here, we'll take the right hand down to the side, take the left arm up towards the ceiling or sky, and take your body over to the right side. Bring it back up to center, inhaling. Take it to the other side, exhale. Inhale. Moving the arms, exhale. Inhale back up. And exhale. Inhale. And to the other side, exhale. Good, looking down at the floor this time to your right hand. Take that left arm away from you. And feel as though you're getting this nice stretch all the way down through the side of your left side of your neck. Reaching. Push up, we'll take it one more time over to the right side. Turn the head down and reach away. Beautiful, coming back up. Okay, let's move into an all-fours position onto the hands and knees. Spread the fingers nice and wide. I'm gonna place my hands onto my Tai Chi symbols here, which is really nice. I love this new mat. Okay, release your feet. Knees hip distance apart, spread the fingers nice and wide, drop the belly down, lift up through the head and the hips, heart opens, shoulders pull back, open up through the chest. And then exhale, belly button to the spine, push the floor away, head down. Inhale, lift the belly, lift the head and the hips, drop the belly, lift the head and the hips. Exhale, belly button to the spine, push the floor away, head down. Inhaling. And exhaling. Come back to a neutral spine here, and then we're just going to take the left hand to the back of the head. I'm going to inhale, bring the left elbow down to the left wrist. The right wrist, sorry. And then exhale, I'm gonna push into that right hand and twist up towards the ceiling. Now notice, because our hips are blocked, we may find it hard to really get an opening here. So I want you to make sure that you don't let your hips go over to one side. Try to keep them stacked as you open. Inhale, exhale, twist. Inhale, exhale, twist. Inhale, and exhale, twist. Inhale, this time thread the arm all the way through, and the direction I'm threading it through is kind of diagonal here. So I'm moving in this direction, almost like, for any of my jiu-jitsu people here or anyone that likes to do any kind of like gymnastics, it's almost like I'm gonna come into kind of a shoulder roll. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to reach diagonally here, head comes down, and I want you to start to drop the neck in, and what we're trying to get is a nice big stretch here for around the back. I find that when you're deep in grief, sometimes, maybe you feel the same way, is that there's this kind of like you're holding yourself together, and so you're in this position a lot. I certainly am. And then I have to, as I'm walking, remind myself like, okay, let's release the back. So because there's always this kind of like contraction, sometimes we build up tension through just like over engagement of that area. So we're here, We just want to start to stretch into the back of the shoulder and all the tissue around the back. Now, same thing is going to start to happen, right, with your hips. They're going to move to one direction, so I want you to push them in the opposite direction to where your arm is. Now, you might want to use the right hand to help you do so. Good. We're going to come back up and we'll take that right hand down, left arm all the way back up to the ceiling, and then release it down. Okay? I'm going to show you on the other side. Let's go for it. So, right hand back of the head. Inhale here. We bring the elbow towards the wrist, and then exhale to twist. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale. And exhale, twist. Inhale all the way down. And then I'm using my left fingertips to push, but then I'm also trying to push my hips back into the opposite direction. Okay, we'll take that hand down to the floor. Let's come all the way back up, take it all the way up to the ceiling, and then release it back down. Okay, let's get back to cat-cow. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, belly to the spine, push the floor away. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, inhale, neutral spine. Bring the feet together. Take the knees out nice and wide. Really, really wide. Push the hips back to the heels. And then start to extend your arms forward here. And drop your head down towards the floor. You can stack your forearms, rest your forehead on the back of the hands here. Closing your eyes. Again, we're not going to stay in stillness for too long. But just taking a moment to check in. See if you can just cultivate the intention to be a witness to whatever it is that you're experiencing in your body without a judgment. Let's go ahead and take our hands, our body over to the left-hand side and reach that right arm all the way out of the hip, like you're reaching your arm, your shoulder out of the hip socket. You want to step out of your pelvis, and then we'll come back to center and we'll take it to the other side. Reaching out. And then we'll come back to center and we'll walk our hands back up. Bring the knees back together and keep them nice and close here. From there, I want you to take your hands in and drop the head down towards the floor. When you drop your head, I really want you to get this rounding of the spine here, dropping in. This is a more traditional child's pose. And we just want to allow ourselves to be here. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Unrolling back up, take the hands to the floor, all fours position, tuck the toes and press back into our first downward facing dog. Now, let's take this really, really easy here. So hands shoulder distance apart, push into the floor and squeeze through your upper traps. Now, I know that that's probably the opposite of what you want to do to create more tension here, but we want to support the shoulders properly. So push the floor away, straighten into that right leg, pushing the right heel towards the floor as you get a little stretch down the back of that right leg. We'll change sides, straighten the left leg, pushing the left heel towards the floor. Still activating through your upper traps, but shaking out your head yes and no and relaxing your face. Let's go the other side, and again the other side. Good. Inhale, come forward into an all fours position. Really round your spine here. Belly draws in. Lower the knees, then the chest. So I want you to arch your back here and lower the chin towards the floor. From there, we're going to slide forward. straight into cobra pose, squeezing the upper back, squeezing the glutes, and then press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, round forward, knees, arch the back, chest, chin, slide forward, cobra, back, downward facing dog. Last one. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale, pressing back. Good, lifting into downward facing dog. This time, walk the hands back towards the feet. Let your body really hang here, so let your knees really bend. Let the head go, take hold of either elbow and just shake out your head yes and no. Notice I'm really bending my knees here. I'm really creating a shelf for my upper body to rest on. If you're really tense in the hips, that might feel a bit hard for you, but do what you can. Don't be afraid to bend the knees a lot. Creating this shelf for the upper body, feeling supported. Swing the body from side to side now, straightening out the legs a tiny bit more. And then come back to center, release the arms, unroll all the way up to standing. Stack each vertebra one at a time. As the head lifts, inhale, reach the arms up, bring the palms together. Exhale, hands come back to the heart and come to stand in the middle of your mat. We're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, hug the shoulder blades in together and lift up through the chest. I'm going to look up towards the ceiling, inhale. Exhale, chin to chest, start to roll down or come down, and I'm going to aim to allow my pinkies to touch the floor. I'm then going to release the arms, let them swing. I'm going to unroll, stacking each vertebra one at a time. As I lift my body, I'm going to take the left arm out to the side. I'm going to take a side stretch, side bend here, and then, watch, I'm going to roll and let myself just swing. I'm going to unroll slowly up towards the ceiling, back to a standing position. Inhale. Up, over to the side, and then swing, release. Shake it out. Yes and no. Good. One more time, unroll. This time both arms out to the side, arms up, palms together, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift here. Flatten out the back, lengthen through the chest. Plant the palms, this time just step the left leg back into a long lunge. If you need to move yourself further forward, move your ankle further forward, do so. Let's just pause here for a moment. We're going to find some strength in this position. What I want you to do is notice if your hips are kind of going out to the side. We've got some knee valgus going on. I want you to square off the hips here. Belly pulls in, and I want you to find some strength for yourself here. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to pull our feet towards each other, hugging in towards the midline, this invisible midline. Okay, keeping everything nice and steady and strong. Belly pulls in, and then going to lift up. Exhale, I'm going to bend deeper into the lunge if I can, but I'm not going to do so by dropping into a big back bend. Okay, I want to maybe bend the back knee a little. Tuck the tailbone, try and move into a posterior pelvic tilt here, chin in, then start to straighten. I'm going to inhale, take the arms all the way up, hook the thumbs. Now I'm going to move into the back bend, but I'm going to do so by lifting up and back. Hands come behind the head. Maybe continue to go a little further. Release, hands to the floor. Lift slightly and tuck that right foot in. Bringing the right knee to the back of the right wrist. I'm going to move my hips back a little bit more, come up to the fingertips, lift up through the chest. Maybe there was a little bit of heat built there. Again, I want you to remain super gentle with yourself, gentle with the body. Notice I'm sort of moving from side to side here. Start to do that. Get into that kind of like, we want to get some fluidity, some movement, Coming into kind of like a still stretch position, a passive stretch, can be quite intense when we're processing grief, right? It can be quite overwhelming. So just allowing ourselves to kind of ease into these positions, find the different angles of tension that we're holding. Maybe I'm going deeper and deeper into it. And when we feel ready, that's when we want to come down, forearms to the floor, stacking the forearms, 2 fists, maybe using a block, whatever you feel you need. We're only going to be here for 3 breaths. So close your eyes, inhale, exhale, 1. Inhale, exhale, 2. Inhale. And exhale, 3. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, release. Okay. Take it slow. Use your hands to push yourself up. Come up onto the hands. And from here, we're going to shift our weight over to the right side. Grab the back leg. Bring it around in front and try to bring it over that right knee. Now from here, I'm going to try to make sure that my hips are square again. And I'm going to hug my left knee with my right arm. Now, if that's not possible for you, you can just hold it with 2 hands, try and sit up nice and tall. From here, I'm then gonna take the left hand behind me and start to encourage the twist. Now, we don't wanna just kind of like slam our head back. Sometimes we feel we're going deeper in a twist if we look back behind us. But what I want you to think about is almost like length. So we're yielding away from the floor, getting nice and tall here, creating space in the spine, and then thinking about slowly twisting, using kind of muscular activation to pull us into the twist, and it kind of happens consecutively, not just like twisting and yanking into our neck. As you twist around, we want to kind of counter activation here. So I also want you to push your left hip forward. Come back to center, and we'll take that left hand to the inside, right hand to the back, and just open everything, unravel everything here. Twisting back around. Good. Come back to center. From here, release the hands, cross the legs in, take the hands forward, move your way back gently and as slow as you need to into downward facing dog. Shake out your head. Rebase yourself here. Reconnect, close your eyes or gaze at the tip of your nose. Find your drishti, this gazing point to find concentration. All right, slowly walk the feet back up towards the hands. Halfway lift here, inhale. Belly pulls in, grab the back of the legs. Exhale. Unroll all the way up to standing. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hands come down. Tuck the chin in. We'll take our hands all the way to the floor. This time we're gonna step the right leg back into a lunge. Finding that lunge and just holding for a moment. Finding strength. So notice, I can notice it immediately in me. When I move into a lunge, my hips want to open here, okay? So I want you to actually try to square off the pelvis and then sink into it and think about all these foundational areas, the strength at the base of you, finding strength, finding foundation. And then from there, we're going to come up into the lunge. And as we come up, we just want to pay attention to what's happening to our hips, right? Do we need to kind of shorten the length, the stance? Can we bend deeper without moving into our back? Bend the back knee, tuck the tailbone, find a straight position, then start to straighten through the leg. We're going to inhale, take the arms up, hook the thumbs, now move into the back bend. Hands come behind the head to support you further. Arms out, releasing down. Pull that foot in so we come into pigeon on the left side. And we're just gonna move side to side. Easing into this one. Creating a little bit of, it's kind of like lubrication here. Like finding tension, being curious about it, without judgment. Again, if you feel that grief come back up, we're not trying to squash it down, we're not trying to distract ourselves, we're like honoring its presence without kind of being like, that's bad, that's good, that makes me angry, that whatever it is. It's all of the opinions that we have around our grief that can keep us in that loop, keep us stuck there. So when it comes back up, we're just like, okay, take a deep breath, and then see if we can move down to the forearms. And now we come into stillness. And I do find during grief, stillness is the hardest thing. So let's just honor these 3 breaths. Beautiful work, guys. Let's come back up very slowly, very, very slowly. Move your weight over to the left side. Right leg comes back around in front, and maybe it's in front of the knee, or if you feel like you have it, then you can bring it to the other side. Make sure the pelvis is square. Try to get your hips square. If you need to raise the hips, do so with a block or a cushion, okay? Now from here, I'm gonna wrap my arm around my left arm around that right leg. Right hand comes behind me. I'm gonna lift up, lengthen, creating length first, then starting to consecutively from the base towards the cervical spine. As I start to twist that head around and the shoulder around, I'm also thinking about pushing my right hip forward. And notice that already makes me want to get longer. Good, looking back to center. Changing slowly to the counter twist, opening up, lifting through the chest here. Supporting myself as I move through this. Coming back to center, hands come behind you. Release the legs. This time we're going to place the feet flat onto the floor. Arms by our side. Now fingers either pointing forward, or you can have them pointing out to the sides if you're struggling with a bit of shoulder and wrist mobility. And from here, we're going to take a deep breath in. Exhale, lift the hips off the floor, gazing towards the knees. Inhale, come back down. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, come back down. Exhale, lift back up. Inhale, come down. Exhale, lift back up. Beautiful. Little challenge if you feel up to it. If you don't, just make your way into the next shape. From here, I'm going to take my hand off. I'm going to try and turn all the way around. Okay? It's really, you didn't have to do that, but it's just nice to challenge the body sometimes. That challenge can just create just a little bit of, as I said, like, we don't necessarily want to distract, but I think it's important to just keep ourselves engaged, you know? Okay. We're in this all force position. We're going to work into the shoulders a little bit. So knees hip distance apart, take the arms forward, let the head come down towards the floor. And if you can get your chin on the floor, do so. If not, and it's just the forehead, that's fine as well. And as I said, if you can always bring your forearms together, but it just takes the stretch out of the shoulders here. And this is what we want. We want to really get some deep shoulder flexion here. And what I'm naturally trying to do is also pull myself away a little bit. So rather than thinking about your weight sinking forward, I would almost imagine someone was pulling your pelvis back, helping you to lengthen out here. Maybe we're going to come into a prayer position, hands behind the head, to just get a little bit of tricep action going on here. And we're going to extend back. Hands come back to the floor. Back into that all force position. If you're coming for the challenge, right hand meets left, lift the knees off, turn, and move back into this position. All right, soles of the feet together, knees out wide. Push the knees out. Come onto your elbows, and then maybe come all the way onto your back. Take hold of either elbow, arms up towards the ceiling, or up above your head actually. Coming to lie down on your back. This is option 1. Option 2 is arms by your side. Option 3 is hands on the belly. Option 4, one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Breathing here. I understand that the temptation to ruminate will arise, and that's very natural, particularly in a stage of grief. And often it doesn't really feel like it's in our choice, right? Like we don't really have a choice as to whether we ruminate on the thing that we're grieving over or not. And that's okay. We're not trying to put a stop to it, but what I want you to attempt to do here is simply to allow yourself and guide yourself back to the sound and sensation of the breath here. In addition to sensation of the breath, pay attention to the body. Where can you relax further? Where can you release further? Where can you start to let go? Relax your ankles, relax your hips, relax your eyes, your mouth, your jaw. We're only going to be here for another 3 breaths. So can you come into a place of surrender? Wholeheartedly surrendering to every exhalation. Take one more deep breath in and a full breath out. Come to interlace the fingers. Arms reach up, lengthen. Take the hands down to the thighs. Bring the legs in together. Hug the knees into the chest, squeezing the knees in. Gently rock from side to side, massaging out through the lower back. We're going to use our hands to push ourselves up, but roll over to your side first. Use the hands to move up, come into a cross-seated position. Bring the palms together, gently bow the head. Fingertips come in between the eyebrows. Thank you so much for practicing today. Namaste.